Okay, I'm gonna take this slowly. These are some of my favorite photos taken with the Hasselblad X2D II Mark II. It is Hasselblad's first update to its flagship digital medium format camera in about 3 years, and it comes with some pretty exciting new features. So for one, it has LiDAR autofocusing. It is also the first medium format camera capable of taking HDR photos, and it has a 10-stop in-body stabilization. And also, it just looks stunning. But in many ways, it is also similar to the XD2 Mark I. It has the exact same shape. There are a few more buttons and a joystick now, and that makes operating this camera a lot easier and faster. But one other big change is the price. The Hasselblad XD2 Mark II is $800 cheaper than its predecessor. It is $7,400, and for a Hasselblad medium format camera, that is not that bad. It's still a lot, but not that bad. It's starting to feel like this is a genuine attempt by Hasselblad to put medium format in the hands of a much wider audience. But comparing to something like a Fuji or a Leica medium format camera, this camera does not shoot video. So, did Hasselblad do enough to convince you to buy one? One, two, three, okay. Hello. So here's my stance about just image quality in general. It's almost a non-issue anymore. Basically, any camera that you have can take great photos, whether it's this drone up there, or your phone, or a crop sensor, or even action cameras. They can all get really decent results. But yeah, when it comes to medium format cameras, the image quality is always going to be levels beyond anything else. And we will talk about image quality a little bit later. I do want to start off with the LiDAR autofocus system, because that's the thing that it's actually new here. And I guess it makes sense to record this with a drone, because this is sort of the first time that you can sense DJI's influence over Hasselblad and not the other way around. I hope I'm still in frame. I am not. Similarly to image quality, autofocus is one area where camera companies are trying to battle it out and show us what they can do by adding more autofocus points, by adding subject detection, by doing focus tracking. And those things are all good and do improve your experience, but for an everyday user, autofocus has been very good for a number of years now. But when it comes to medium format, it always felt like medium format cameras are just slower. So in order to fix that, Hasselblad is adding a LiDAR sensor that works in tandem with contrast detection and phase detection autofocus to improve your experience. Is LiDAR focusing good? It is good. Is it impressive? Not quite. Is it bad? Far from it. It's pretty good and it's pretty reliable. It is pinpoint accurate, but there are some flaws with it. It's good at many things, but you do notice some points where it just falls behind. And I found there are moments where the LiDAR would kind of question itself. It often felt like it would try to focus beyond the subject and kind of work its way towards back, especially when it comes to continuous autofocus. Things were better with the new lens that Hasselblad is also releasing, which is a 35 to 100mm lens. For the most part in this review, you'll see a lot of examples where I was sticking to the 25mm lens, which is just lovely. When it comes to subject detection, it also felt like the system would often rely on focusing on a subject entirely and not necessarily an eye, unless that subject is really kind of looking in the direction of the camera. Has it actually made me miss out on any potential shots? Maybe a few, but it was pretty rare. It just felt a little less confident in its decisions, but don't expect that focusing is going to be able to track a subject running towards you in continuous burst mode or something like that. On the other hand, LiDAR works really well in low light, but when it comes to astrophotography, I would still just rely on manual focusing. And with this camera and with this lens, astrophotography was a blast. This Hasselblad, just like its predecessor, has a built-in 1TB SSD, which makes processing these photos fairly fast. It's not blazingly instant or anything like that, but at no point did I feel like it was drastically slowing me down. And as you saw, I was doing a lot of astrophoto time lapses, and for that you do have to set the delay to be a couple of seconds just to be sure that you get all those photos done. And if you need to expand that storage, there's still a CF Express Type B slot there as well. As far as the other non-astrophoto goes, the photos look crisp and beautiful, just like you'd expect from a 100 megapixel back illuminated sensor. The details are sharp, the edges are razor thin, and the bokeh from the 25mm prime lens is beautiful. And it's always nice when you get that signature Hasselblad 8-point starburst effect. The X2 Mark II is rated for 15.3 stops of dynamic range, and the 16-bit photos just look very real and lifelike. Pair that with the incredibly accurate color and you'll be amazed at the result. And they also look really nice on this HDR display on the camera too. And speaking of HDR photos, they look pretty nice. In general, I'm not a massive fan of HDR, but they look decent. Also, heads up, it's kind of weird to talk about HDR photos in an SDR video, so I'll include a download link below so you can look at them by yourself wherever you want. Hey, Edit V over here. Just want to point out a couple of things. You also might see Edit V hop in this video more often because I keep finding out more little things about this camera that I feel like I should mention. So first thing with HDR, it is not always available in every mode. Basically, it's not available in manual mode or exposure bracketing or focus bracketing or things like that. Second thing, when you're shooting in continuous drive, those photos are not going to be 16-bit, they're going to be 14-bit, but it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, that's it. In some extreme cases, you'll see a lot of changes, particularly in the shadows, where those get boosted up and the noise starts creeping in. But in exposures that are a little bit more even, the HDR processing also looks pretty good. Edit V is back again, because there's one more thing that I want to add when it comes to HDR specifically. So there's one good thing about it, and that is the new Phocus 2 app that you use to connect to the Hasselblad. The app is really good. It looks nice and it's pretty functional, which is sometimes a rarity with camera apps. They're getting better, but this one was really nice. But more importantly, the thing that you can do with this app is just control how much of that HDR processing you actually want in there. And for the last few days, I feel like it has given my HDR photos a second life. I feel like I'm getting the results that I'm pleased with, that I would usually just do in Lightroom with a regular RAW file, but now I can kind of do it within the app, and yeah, it looks really neat. If you're into this sort of look, I think you'll be happy, and I think this is the way to go when it comes to the HDR photos on the Hasselblad. All right, back to Indoors V. The noise in general in HDR and non-HDR photos, it looks really good and well maintained. Anything around 6400 or higher, you'll see more noise that starts really degrading the overall image quality. And the lowest ISO on this camera is now 50, which is the native ISO, which is down from 65 on the predecessor. Another big update here is the in-body stabilization, which is 5-axis and it's 10 stops, up from 7 on its predecessor. Hasselblad says that you can get handheld exposures up to several seconds without a use of a tripod. I don't know what several seconds means, but I was able to get really good long exposures during a bright and sunny day to get some of that silky waterfall images, and it looks really good, although I was leaning against the railing just in case. I do wish there was video mode because I feel like 10-stop IBIS on medium format in video would look really nice, but here we are. So I mentioned this earlier at the top of the video, but it seems like camera specs are kind of fading away. Everyone is capable of getting great photos. Everyone has great autofocus, and color science is really pinpoint accurate. So it really comes down to how a camera makes you feel when you're using it. This Hasselblad is gorgeous and it is bold. The dark gray matte material really stands out. The grip on his side has this new rubberized texture that again looks really good, but it also feels very nice to hold. It feels like a luxury supercar. You feel like you're in a driver's seat
buckled up and ready for a very smooth ride. The 3-level tilting screen, the buttons, the joystick, the dials, they all feel extremely well made. But it is also a medium format camera, which means it is pretty heavy and it will tire you out by the end of a day. And I've spent some long days with this camera. Speaking of which, the battery life probably could be a little bit better, but I was using it a lot. It mostly survived throughout the day, but I had to turn it on and off a lot just to save up any battery. But anyways, all of it is worth it once you see the results, and if that is your priority, you will fall in love with this camera. But for me, also the novelty wore off. This camera is big and it is heavy, and I really just wanted to go back to some of my more compact, less noticeable cameras that I can carry around everywhere with me. I don't do massive prints, I mostly post photos on social media, and for that I just need something more compact and something that's easier to bring around. And lastly, we do get to that price. $7,400 is not that bad for this camera, because I really thought we were looking at 8 or 9 or even more for this camera. But don't get me wrong, spending more than $7,000 for just a body is a lot. But some of the memories that you can make with this camera are truly priceless.
Oh hey, one more thing before we wrap up this video. As you might have noticed in the lower third at the beginning of this video, it said that this is my final video for The Verge, and after 10 wonderful years, I am moving on, and I just want to take a very quick moment to acknowledge that, and acknowledge all of you who've been there watching the videos, liking, commenting, and even disliking. It's all part of it. It's all good. But yeah, for a lot of the 10 years that I've been here, I've been behind the scenes, and whenever I had an opportunity to be on camera, it was always a lot of fun. So I do want to thank you for watching not only the videos that I'm hosting, but every video that I worked on. It means a whole lot to me and to the entire staff. I do mean it. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. Thank you for being there, and thank you for giving me a platform to talk about things that I love. Cameras, drones, laptops, phones, all things tech. Anyways, V out. Thank you.